Steve Corona, and I'm your host for this virtual internship. Today we're speaking with Lazaro Perez. He's the owner of Laz's Cuban Cafe, and we're going to find out how you too can be your own owner of a food truck. So tell me a little bit about your business.
So it's a food truck. We sell Cuban cuisine food. We sell Cuban sandwiches, Cuban coffee, pastries, empanadas. It's interesting.
And this is the real deal, right? You're from Miami?
I'm from Miami. We're the real deal. My parents are Cuban, born and raised. I'm born and raised in Miami, and yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about previous experiences that helped you start this business?
Yes. So when I was 20, my ex-father-in-law gave me the funds to open up a liquor store. So we opened up together a liquor store. It was his liquor store, but it was, he owned it and I operated, I opened it from scratch, etc.
What are some of the essential skills and qualities in running your own business from that first experience then to what you're doing today in operating a food truck?
Well, the difference is the experience. Back then, it was, and still today, it's learning. I'm always learning something. Even here, I've learned a lot that I didn't deal with before. However, I believe the crucial issue is in surviving is knowing watching your money and your costs and your percentages. I think that most businesses that don't do well and fail is only because the owners are not aware that there are percentages that you cannot fall beneath. For example, in a restaurant, anytime your food cost exceeds 30% of your revenue, your labor exceeds 25% of your revenue, I mean, those are borderline maximums. The minute you're above them, you're in trouble, and it's only a matter of time.
What level of education and experience is required or important in running your own business and running your own food truck?
I think at a minimum, in today's world, I think at a minimum you need a bachelor's of arts in business, some sort of business background, whether it be accounting or business management, or I wouldn't suggest for anyone to consider having their own business if they've never taken basic business courses, because it is there where you learn percentages, what gross revenue means, what net sales are. You know, you got to consider sales tax issues. There's income tax issues. So there's payroll, and then payroll has its own set of problems, which is workers' compensation, payroll taxes. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Do you not? What's the cost of that? What does that represent for your bottom line? At the end of the day, how much are you really taking home? You know.
Would experience in a fast food restaurant be helpful?
I was going to say, I would probably say that it would be helpful if someone thinking of having their own restaurant or business, like a food truck or something in the food industry, it would be good to be in a high-paced place like a fast food restaurant or a restaurant in general that's busy, where they can, I think it's best to start at the bottom and see all levels. For example, myself, here in Fort Wayne, I'm literally on my knees a lot of times cleaning the truck, changing the oil of the truck, of the trailer, fixing the equipment. I'll make sandwiches when I have to, and I have a cook on board, but it's important to remember for a business owner to know all the facets of your business. If you don't know what it takes to clean your fryer and how long it really takes, that can be two problems. One, your employee, when you have an employee, can take longer and it's costing you money. And two, you don't know what they need to do the job. And so if you've never done it, how do you know what it takes?
What can someone expect to earn in their first year of owning their own food truck?
That varies so much. Our first year was losses. And I would say our first and second year was losses. Here in Fort Wayne so far, I think we're just about breaking even.
What might an owner of a food truck expect to make 5 years down the road?
If you're good and you're careful, depending on the market you're in and how often, how much you run the business, the truck, you can do 6 figures. For example, a food truck in Miami, in its 3rd year or so, would, in a good economy, would do, depending on the number of days it's running, it can do $300,000-$400,000 a year. If you start in Fort Wayne, for example, there's a season here, which I was not aware of when I came here. I wasn't planning on that, so I learned it when I arrived. So this month in October, we will shut down the food truck. It will not be reopened until spring. So that means that period of time, it's one that I didn't calculate when I brought the truck. So I have options. I can go back south and do events south with it, sporadic and pop-up events. There's a world's largest food truck fest that they have operations throughout the country. But that requires transporting the trailer or the truck to those locations, etc. Now, you could do 3 days and do $2,000-$3,000 a day.
So tell me also about the training that leads up to owning a food truck. I mean, you talked about college being helpful, but is there any other way to train for this business operation?
In a food truck, I would say work a food truck. People don't realize, I have met countless numbers of people in Miami that have purchased food trucks, spent anywhere between $50,000 and $120,000 and have lost every bit of it. It is hard work. It is not easy. It requires work.
Where's the reward?
The reward is in what is your goal. Yes, if you stick with it, if you do it right, if you respect yourself and you respect your customers and you respect your brand and your product, it will do well. And the reward will come. If you are doing it just for the money, if you're doing it just to have a food truck, it's not going to go so well.
Let's break this business down. What are the duties and responsibilities in running a food truck?
Okay, there's maintenance, there's prepping, there's operational, there's cleanup. Maintenance is critical. If your truck is not maintained properly, you're going to have issues.
So what's a typical workday and work week like?
So our workday could start at 6 in the morning and end at 5 in the afternoon. Now, if we have a second event, we have started at 6 in the morning, and this just happened on Thursday. From Thursday to Friday, I only slept 2 hours. I went to bed at 4 in the morning, I woke up at 6, and then I went till 1 in the morning the next night. So yeah, the days are really, really long. And unless you have an ambition and a love for what you're doing, you'll cut corners, which will end up costing you money. Your customers will notice, and your business will suffer.
In your opinion, what is the most important aspect in owning your own business? Attention to detail, commitment to the grind,
I would say
focus on customer.
I would say in today's market, I would say all those things are important. If you don't believe that any of those 3 are extremely important, you're not going to survive. There's so much competition that if you don't do the grind, it's not going to happen because your employees won't do it for you.
You've been involved in several different businesses. So what do you think is the greatest challenge in owning a food truck or any other business operation? What is the greatest challenge?
If you're not committed, everything else falls apart because that commitment, and I wanted to say self-love first. And the reason I was going to say that was because I feel like if I don't have love for me and respect myself for what I really want to do with my life and where I want this venture to go, I think it falls apart. Because if I do that, if I have that, then I have the commitment. Then I can put in the grind. I can honor the client and the customer. I can honor what I provide. For example, I've had employees ask me why I'll take a Boston butt pork and I'll clean it. And they'll say, you lose weight. And I say, yes, but I can't feed somebody what I wouldn't eat myself or my kids. And this is a true thing. My kids come to the truck. My wife, my mom come to the truck and they eat my food. How am I going to sit there and pick what's good and what's not good to serve them at the moment that it's already done? So I'll take a Boston butt and I'll clean the fat off of it. And then once it cooks, I'll lean it again because that little film of ugly fat, some people think it's nice, but it's bad.
It's paying attention to detail.
It's detail.
So how do you evaluate the performance of your business? Is that hard for you when you are the owner to figure out if you're doing well?
No, it's not hard because you have feedback. Now
Feedback
more than
from
ever.
your customers?
Yes, now more than ever.
They're
if
not
I think of
afraid?
pre-existing,
They're not afraid to tell you
Oh,
that
they're
that
not
was
afraid.
a fatty sandwich that you just served me and I'm
They're
not coming
afraid.
back.
They're not afraid to tell you that your food was no good. They're not afraid. If I think of businesses that I've owned pre-Facebook and pre-Instagram days, and I think of now, you're out there all the time.
So what does success look like? How do you know that you're doing a good job? Does it show in your bank statement? You've got a nice, healthy...
It shows in the bank statement, but I think right now, for me, it's not the bank statement because the bank statement, like I said, we're barely breaking even right now, but it's where it's going right now. And my experience lets me know that it's on the right track. Now, when I look at the feedback on Facebook and Instagram and social media in general, and I see what they're putting out there, regular customers that I can't even probably place some of their faces and names, but what they're saying about the quality of our food and the service and the food truck itself, that's telling me that we're on the right path of success. We are successful and we're on the right path that we will see in the bank statements eventually.
So where is the advancement in this line of work? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So the goal is we're going to open up a Cuban restaurant.
Okay.
For sure, very, very shortly. And my idea, the business plan when I wrote this in 2007, was always to have several throughout the country, really. That would be, 15-year plan. The 5-year plan is probably just locally, Chicago, Indianapolis, maybe Cleveland, I don't know, and several other locations here in Indiana.
Would you encourage anybody, if they're in this business, and to think about other certifications, education, training, professional organizations that would be helpful in promoting their career? What have you found?
There's always associations. There's the Restaurant Association, National Restaurant Association. I haven't had to reach out to these associations or entities, fortunately, but they are there, and I have looked at their resources, and they can be very helpful.
So these videos are going to be seen by middle school and high school students looking at various careers, career opportunities. What advice would you give them?
Self-respect first. Self-love first. If you always think of yourself with love and compassion and self-respect, I don't think you can go wrong. It'll always keep you in the right path.
That's the foundation for personal success?
Foundation. I think so.
Final thoughts?
It's work. Nothing comes easy.
But
There's
you
no
love
such
it,
thing.
don't you?
But I do love it.
Even though perhaps you're not making $1 million a year right now, you love what you do.
I love what I do.
And do people understand that it's Not all about the money all of the time?
No, I think people think it's about the money. And that's why at 50, I say it's not about the money.
I mean, you've been in lines of work that have been much more profitable. I know that. Yeah. But you're running a food truck.
And to be honest, I find it more profitable, financially and emotionally.